The opinions expressed on the following audio program are solely those of the host and the guests. Burner Podcast is an independently produced, not-for-profit show and is not associated with the Burning Man organization or its subsidiaries. The views expressed are not representative of the entire Burning Man community and are presented here for entertainment purposes only. In short, calm the fuck down. It's just a podcast.
And it's episode number 94. It is 229 days till the man burns as of this recording. It is the weirdest thing. I've been interviewing people for like eight years-ish, I think. It's coming up on a decade. I do know that. I've been interviewing people for coming up on a decade. Before this show, I was co-hosting Crappy Awesome Podcast, which has been referred to as a pillar of the underground hip-hop scene in Southern California. I don't know how big of a pillar, like maybe like a support beam or like that stripper pole we jokingly refer to as a support beam. But we were one of the early adopters of the podcast platform in hip-hop as a whole. That part I can tell you for absolute certainty, for sure. And that show has continued on without me because this whole Burning Man thing took over my whole fucking life. And so I kind of quietly stepped down in the past year. That was one of the many, many, many changes that happened in my life this past year that I've been processing still. But we started this show that you're listening to right now in 2014. And anyway, the point being that I've sat down and recorded with a shit ton of weirdos in weird places. And for some truly inexplicable reason, I still get anxiety on my way to an interview. I only recently started thinking about that. Like, dude, like how many more awesome recording sessions do I have to pull off before I let my body release whatever this fear of failure is or perfectionism or like whatever the fuck this thing is? Like, does it ever go away? I don't know. I've been told that maybe you don't actually want it to, or that's what I keep hearing in my head to at least make myself feel better about it. It's the feeling of being alive. It's the feeling of feeling. I don't know. Maybe that's why I left my very, very safe, very prestigious full-time photography gig. Because I still see my work like on bus stops and ads and stuff around town. But I just totally was just completely over shooting perfect blue skies for tourism photography and happy people pointing at things. It just all got way too easy. So I don't know. Maybe a little bit of fear is a good thing. Maybe the perfect creative scenario is not one where we feel nothing. I don't know. Where I don't feel anything on my drive to the interview, but more like the way I felt on my drive to like today's interview that you're about to hear. Podcast producer Lee Hemingway pitched today's interview subjects, the founders of Camp Lip Balm, partly due to their proximity to San Diego. Because we were like, all right, we're scheduling interviews for the coming few months, and we need one for sure coming up this week. Then we need another one in 2 weeks. And he's like, all right, well, this week we should definitely do Camp Lip Balm because you can drive right there. And it's about an hour or so drive from my home to theirs. Listeners and other interested parties often ask me why I don't do phone interviews, by the way. It's not that I'm militantly against it. It's just that my almost a decade's worth of experience has shown me that there's a certain magic that gets lost in phone interviews. And there is some electricity about being in the same room with your subject that just doesn't quite present itself on a phone call. So that's why we favor people that I can drive to and plan recordings around my travel schedule. But anyway, the drive to today's guests was just absolutely goddamn beautiful. The founders of Camp Lip Balm live in Temecula, California, which if you're one of our United States listeners, you'll probably recognize as wine country. A lot of wines come from there. And the drive there was just so picturesque. I kept finding myself wishing I'd left a little earlier so that I could stop and shoot some postcard imagery on the way. It's just really, really gorgeous. It kind of took my mind off of that anxiety that I was telling you about earlier. And this show booking couldn't have been any more perfect. Lip Balm's founders were within reach, but their camp is populated by predominantly international burners. Not too many people from San Diego. Lip Balm, in fact, I don't think anybody from San Diego. I think we do talk about that. Lip Balm's own website boasts that they are a tank girl and female-led camp. So visit lipbalm.org if you want to follow along. That's bomb, like the explosion, by the way. Like bomb, like not like the bomb, not bombs like the stuff that people give out on like gifting trees at the burn, but like bomb, B-O-M-B. The Tank Girl, of course, is like cyberpunk indie comic book darling, which was adapted into a movie in the 90s with Lori Petty. We talk about that a little bit too. So the founders, Scott and Mary, whom you're about to get to know quite intimately, met in high school in Texas. He was a punk kid with a mohawk, and she was a proper girl from the right side of the tracks. Their words, by the way, not mine. I felt like some of their story sounded like it's almost like a Bon Jovi song. But they're not in New Jersey, I guess. We'll start out by chatting all over the place like we usually do. And then we'll go back to the beginning of their story, how they met, the adventures that they got into before discovering Burning Man, and then making that horrible mistake we all make, that of going to Burning Man. And then they were hooked. And that's how it happens. They leaped from a 25% camp to a 75% camp, and that went about as well as you would expect. I'll leave it at that so you can hear the rest of the story from Scott and Mary's own mouths. And let me tell you, listeners, this was one of those episodes where the whole time I was sitting there, I was wishing you could see what I was seeing. I mean, talk about a team. Talk about like soulmates. I had them share a mic because there was like an echo in the room. Because anyway, long technical thing, not interesting. And they're constantly like jumping into like finish each other's sentences. So they keep doing that thing where you get really excited about the thought the other person is having, and you have to like physically contain yourself from charging in to finish it. They're like grabbing mics from each other. Like as that was happening, I was thinking maybe it worked out perfectly that they had to share this mic. So at least they'd have to wait for each other to a beat or two to like finish sentences. Because I don't know how that would have played out if they both had mics. Anyway, it was adorable. It was really adorable. Lots of snarky gestures and looks. It was very visually entertaining. You can't see it, but there was a lot of visual hilarity happening, and I wish there was a way to convey that to you, but just trust me on that. It was a really fun interview, fueled by Bloody Marys. And after today's chat, we're going to play a set by London-based Sturge, which was recorded. Sturge's set, by the way, was recorded on Tuesday night of Burning Man 2018 at Camp Lip Balm. So it's a full Lip Balm episode. It's all Lip Balm, all episode. So we're just going to call today's episode Lip Balm. Our naming department took the week off. Lip Balm is today's episode. I go by Mr. Arash, even though nobody calls me Mr. Welcome to Burner Podcast.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There were sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with the balls and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, because there ain't no one for the give you no name.
Okay, so we were talking about a whole bunch of stuff before we started recording, and I kept yelling at you guys to stop talking. Oh, hey, where's my Bloody Mary? Shoot, let me get that. All right. Okay. You're on Bloody Mary duty. you're gonna.
Scott is,
yeah, Scott is on Bloody Mary. Okay. Ooh, and water. Perfect.
Bloody Mary.
All right. Let me just get that.
Hydrate.
Yes. Hydrate and dehydrate
Yeah, exactly.
with
Equally.
each fist. Yeah.
I'm just into the dehydration aspect of it.
Yeah. So you want to make sure when you're speaking, get it closer to your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like a mouse.
I know.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. So many things that we see. This is what happens immediately before we started recording. We talked about like 15 different things, and I'm like, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that.
Okay. All right. So
right.
when we first went to our first burn in
Yeah.
2014,
Yeah.
we are ultra planners
Mm-hmm.
and we ultra preparers.
Yeah, so we were ninja burners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
Crazy.
Big
Yeah.
time ninja burners.
Yeah.
Right. And so after our first burn, if you can imagine the naiveness of new burners, we were overtaken, we were overwhelmed, right? And we wanted so badly to give as much as had been given to us.
Yeah.
And so literally on the drive back home, we were like, okay, well, how can we give? How can we give back to the burn?
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we should start a camp.
Of course.
Of course.
That's what you immediately jump into.
That's
Let me take on the most responsibility possible next year.
well, we didn't know. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was that was one of those things where, we're still high on Playa Days
Yeah.
on the way home, and let's just do it. And yeah, that was a grave mistake.
In that conversation, we're like, well, what should it be called? What was really needed out on the playa?
Yeah.
And we're like, well, lip balm is really needed. And then that
Desperately.
Desperately.
Yeah.
And then we went lip balm, like a bomb. Oh, wow. And it just went from there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
But also, if you look up the Urban Dictionary of what lip balm is, we'll leave it at that. So that was the initial.
Right.
That was the initial.
No. Don't leave it at that. What is the Urban
No,
Dictionary of lip
everyone can
balm?
look that up.
Yeah.
Everyone can.
You're gonna make
Lip
the
balm-
listeners stop right now.
Okay. First of all, just so
Okay.
you know, Lip Balm is a post-apocalyptic themed, tank girl themed camp. Okay, so
Yes.
it's led primarily by the ladies who are just as sideways as the guys can get.
Yeah.
And so Lip Balm itself means it's the equivalent of teabagging. But
Okay.
in the female aspect.
Female
of it.
version of teabagging.
Or
I
as they
did not
call
look
it, the
that up.
taco drop.
Yeah.
Right.
So Lip Balm was.
As they do.
Yes.
So yeah, and all of this was discovered on our way home
Yeah.
from our first burn.
Yeah. So we're like, Lip Balm's it.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what
got to
we're
be
doing.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then we wanted to fashion it after the Tank Girl theme.
Yeah.
And we did that first year. But what's happened is over the years, it's just grown and developed with the most beautiful, just filthy.
Why Tank Girl?
Crazy
Tell me about Tank
people.
Girl.
Yeah.
Tell me about Tank Girl. Why is Tank Girl in your consciousness?
Well, he's a big comic book fan. And of all the comic books, I have really enjoyed the Tank Girl comics.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
Tank Girl itself is basically a the character itself is kind of like a female frat boy.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the girls are like at the camp. It's Lip Balm is kind of like the Coyote Ugly of Burning Man. So yeah, they're the ones that get out there and are they get sideways pretty aggressively, and the guys, we kind of hang back and, watch by the sidelines as they just tear shit up.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's great. It happened to be Lee Hemingway, one of our producers for this show. He suggested, he's like, hey, do you want to do a Lip Balm interview? I'm like, yeah, sounds great. And it turned out to be definitely like one of those synchronicity moments because it happened to be, he messages me within like an hour or two after I happened to be watching a video about the making of Tank Girl and all the Hollywood studio interference with it. Yeah, and I'd completely forgotten all about this movie, by the way. I hadn't seen it in ages. But all of a sudden, like this video, I ended up listening to like the whole thing about it was during an era when they were like licensing a lot of comic book stuff to get into the movies because they're like, oh, it has a fan base, we can sell this. But then immediately the Hollywood executives were like, I don't get it. This is freaking me out. Censor this, change this out. I know there's a big controversy about the scene where I think they ended up editing out where she's having sex with her kangaroo. Is it a kangaroo boyfriend?
Yeah.
Her boyfriend's a kangaroo.
Mutant kangaroo.
Yeah. And it was a lot of that. Like they didn't understand this female frat boy personality. They didn't understand like all the randomness. So the movie is not at all like what the director was like hoping for at the end, but it's still built like another cult, like a cult following afterwards anyway.
Yeah. And in that same way, this camp has grown into this misfit amount of people that are just badass. Mm-hmm. And we all have the same concept of shut up and take a drink.
Yeah.
And that's actually our motto.
That's our motto. Shut the fuck up and take a drink.
Yeah, shut the fuck up and take a drink.
Yeah.
And by the way, that motto, I have to say, that was our first year, and I guess you can cut this out if you need to. But
we don't do any editing. Be careful what you say.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it was super late at night, and we were on the was it Charlie?
Charlie the Unicorn?
Charlie the Unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on Charlie the Unicorn, and this Canadian guy.
The art car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were out at Deep Ply, I think Robot Heart or something, listening to fucking Minimal. Yeah. And and so this guy has this huge bag of mushrooms. And
like you do.
What's that?
Like you do.
Yeah. And he's just like flaunting it around, and he's, so long story short, we end up partaking. We learn over years, that's not what you do. Yeah. Drugs are terrible. Say no to drugs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, most definitely. So, but we're after a good amount of time, we're in our headspace, and this girl sitting next to us is just yammering on about, chakras and this and that, and, which is really fucking with my headspace. And so finally, after a while, I pull out, my flask, and it has vodka in it. And I'm like, oh man, shut the fuck up and take a drink. And she got so upset at me, and she stormed off.
Yeah.
And so that's where we got our motto of the camp, which is shut the fuck up and take a drink.
Yeah.
And so, and again, lip balm is, we don't have yoga.
Yeah.
Sorry. We don't have anus bleaching. We don't have any of that. But what we do have is a crazy fucking party every night and every day.
I'm dying to know how
Serious
anus
party.
bleaching fell into the same category as
Okay.
yoga. Tell me about that.
Our first burn, we camped, not in a camp. We were on 730 and C.
No, we weren't.
Like
we were,
somewhere in the street.
745 and C.
No, we were not there.
Where were we?
We were at 930 and C. Yeah, don't get fucking sideways with me.
All right, we were at 930 and C.
Yes.
Well, we wanted to be close to
Super
there.
important. Somebody's going to go check this information.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That's where we parked our RV.
We wanted to be
camped.
We wanted to be close to that area.
Yeah.
And how did we end up on 730 and C?
You know what? Actually, that was the organization. They dropped us right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
With the giant cock roundabout.
Yes.
No. We were
That was
further towards the Esplanade.
Okay.
Yeah. Our first
Closer
year,
to the taint.
Our first year, we were directly across from.
What? Where are you going with that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I have brain
You
fart.
brain freeze. Then why bring it up?
We were
This
Glam Cocks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've always been around the glam.
We've
Cocks
always
with
been
the-
around the Glam Clocks.
Yeah.
We're always
The
down the
funnest place
street
ever.
from
Yeah.
Comfort and Joy. And so we are in the neighborhood. And so while we're having our parties, Glam Cocks is having anal bleeding and
Bleaching.
What the
bleaching. Anal
Yeah.
bleaching.
Very important differentiation.
Sorry.
Oh my God, they're not doing that, honey. They weren't doing anal bleaching.
No, they did. Okay, they did the genitalia portraits.
Yeah, no, that's down the street with the people who do the genitalia portrait.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a completely different camp.
They're a camp that only does genitalia portraits,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah. So we
Okay.
always see people with these fucking badges on with their dicks and shit that come by our camps because they're always there at that time. So yeah. But no, we've always been like Fern Gully, it's always been like Glam Cox. And again, those guys have been always the funnest neighbors to be close to.
And the firehouse.
Yeah, the firehouse. But that was a bit of a shit show though.
For 3 years, we were next to the firehouse.
Yeah. Do they have the
Or
dive?
two-
Is that
two
was
or
that where
3
the
years.
dive bar is?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's called the dive bar because it's like a submarine.
Yes.
Yeah. For the
Yep.
listeners.
So, yeah. And, no, I mean, every time we've ever had neighbors, they've always been great neighbors, but they always use our infrastructure somehow, whether it's power, whether it's our rakes, our leaf blowers.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Yes. It's about community.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I'm remembering now. The reason why we got put on 730 NC was because our placers actually came up to us and said, "We wanted to watch you fail and burn."
Fail and burn?
Well,
fail,
yeah,
fail.
they
we set you up for failure.
Oh, okay.
yeah, because our
Burn in a negative aspect.
Well, here's the thing. Whenever we first started, actually, they saw us dropping so much money into it. And actually, I think our first year, we came out of pocket between the both of us, $32,000.
Wow.
Yeah, out of our own pocket. At which time we actually sold our home because we knew we weren't going to be able to make it happen the way we wanted to make it happen. So we had to sell our home, which was in like the greatest period of time when to sell your home in California.
Wow.
And from that sale, we were able to, do some things with the camp. We bought a lot of the infrastructure that we still currently use.
And to have a place to store it all.
Yeah, right. But, and then that's, basically what happened was as we were just throwing this shit out on social media, the organization kind of took notice of what we were doing, and it became kind of an inside joke of, oh my God, these people are nuts.
Yeah.
And so they gave us enough rope to hang ourselves. And so when we didn't actually hang ourselves, then every year we asked for a particular spot on the playa. They pretty much gave it to us.
Yeah.
And again, the placers.
So what they were doing was trial by fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And they,
It's with love.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I want to give a shout out to the 730 sector. I hope we're there forever, but if we're not, whatever. But the 730 sector is probably the most badass place on the playa. And from our understanding, the 730 is the most requested area of the playa. Yeah.
Really? Why is that in your
I don't
understanding?
know. Well, it's the party
Well,
area.
yeah. I mean,
I'm a fan. I like the middle. Like I camped 1 year all the way at the end of the city, and I fucking hated it. I had like so many people
Which
tell
end?
me 2:00 end.
ew.
Yeah, and
That side.
Well,
No, we love the 2:00 side too.
No, I said I just after the burn, I had like so many friends say like, yeah, we really wanted to come visit you, but you're just so far. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
So why didn't they come see you?
You know what? Perfect transition. It was far. Kind of like where we are right now. We're in Temecula.
Right.
Yep.
By the way, so for the listeners who are not familiar, Temecula is wine country. It just on the drive over here, it's about like an hour outside of San Diego.
just absolutely breathtaking drive. Like it was like postcard photo after postcard photo after postcard photo. I'm planning on stopping multiple times to take photos on my way back. And we came here, and you guys were telling me that you ended up actually, one of your inspirations for purchasing this place was so that you could store theme camp stuff.
Yes, and the whole thing behind this particular property, our first house was a very big house, but like it literally took up the entire landscape of its property footprint. So we had no way of being able to store infrastructure of the camp. So we ended up coming out to the wine country part of Temecula, got 5 acres, purchased a container of 40-foot, what they call a high cube container, and shoved our entire camp infrastructure into that, which is stored by the house. And then we bought, what was that, a 26-foot moving truck, I think?
Yeah.
Okay. So we bought a 26-foot moving truck, which, that's part of what we use to bring the infrastructure out to Burning Man. Yeah,
Right.
transport.
Man, seriously, do you know what it's got me thinking? Like, if we have a listener who's an economist, seriously, an interesting study might be how the economy of the default world is, like, if there's some sort of a study we can do, how it's being affected by Burning Man. Like part of the decision-making process on purchasing a home and contributing to this other community that's, hour and a half or whatever outside of the main city, how much of that has been impacted by burners?
Exactly.
How many people have
That's
started
awesome.
making this decision? That's a thing, man.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Because we bought a moving truck. We bought a container. We bought property. We
We
bought
were fully bought in burners.
And I am really not a country type person.
Yeah.
But we are so far country.
She's
I mean,
like,
what sort of stuff do people do out here? Like, it's not like you can walk
Oh,
around
Lord.
places. We're far away from shit.
This is horse territory.
Yeah, there's a lot of horses.
A lot of gun shooting out here. You hear that on the weekends.
Yeah.
You hear
Different than
guns.
LA.
Yeah. Different than, this is not drive-by gun. This is people practicing for, actually an apocalypse.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good spot
it's
to be.
different out here.
That's one of the things that I've thought a lot about is that we have like so many burner friends that are out, like in places like you guys, like further out in the country. If the apocalypse hits, like there needs to be some contingency plan of how a lot of
Yes,
us
we
can
all-
reconvene here.
Exactly. So,
You guys are all of a sudden going to get bombarded by like your theme camp and like 5 other theme camps.
Well, not our theme camp, because over the years, our first year, we had no other camp members from the state of California. Lots of Europeans, even
How did you meet them?
online.
they're just just online. Our first year we had 25 members and we didn't know any of them. And so it was not very organic.
So how did that, tell me about that process. You decide on your drive back from your first burn that you're going to start a theme camp. You come up with Lip Balm. In the coming year, you start to, it looks like you've branded it fully at this point. Like, was that happening at that time where you actually had a logo and illustrations and all this kind of stuff, or were you just throwing it together?
Well, first of all, I've been in the electronic music industry for a lot of years as far as artist management. And so a lot of what we did was, follow that model of branding. And so our first year, it was just her and I. We started off, and our first year we had 25 people that none of them we knew.
Okay.
They were just all over. We had a lot of people from France. We had people from, French, the French Canadians. We had a lot of Texans for some reason. A lot of Texans. Yeah.
Nutella crepes.
Yeah. What's that?
Nutella crepes and pancakes.
Yes. Oh yeah, most definitely. By the way, I'll tell you, and as I have to say, everybody has their own kind of
Pancake?
everybody. Sorry about that.
Sure.
Everybody has their own kind of their own contribution to the camp, and that's something that I'm learning a lot about because everybody has their niche.
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
the French, I'll tell you, man, I know it sounds cliche, but man, they can cook.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they can cook.
Yeah.
Okay, not much on building and heavy lifting.
Not so
but,
much.
oh my God, they can cook.
Amazing. And for the art, Scott is also an artist. He's being very modest at this point. But our sign was Complete Tank Girl.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I
And
love
so
it.
it was after that first year that we were in contact with one of the writers for Tank Girl.
Yeah, the comic book artist.
Really?
Brett Adams.
Super
and,
cool.
And he actually created our third year?
Second.
This one here, which,
The shirt you're wearing.
the shirt is.
Yeah.
Was
Wow,
created
that's
by
gorgeous.
him,
Yeah.
which is the artist of Tank Girl.
Yeah. So let me do this. I'm gonna pause this section here. We're gonna come back to this your first year.
Gotcha.
I want to know how you two met.
Oh Lord.
Long, long ago,
In a galaxy far, far
once
away.
upon a time,
Yes. So
we
just
met
high-fived.
when the summer before my senior year,
what
was
year was that?
the
Be
summer
generous.
that he graduated high
92?
school.
No, I'm kidding.
You guys are high school sweethearts.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so rad. Okay.
Yeah. So we dated my senior year. We were married the fall after I graduated.
Were you outcast or you were prom king or queen?
Oh, no. Okay. So Scott was
Because he liked
a
comic
punk
books.
in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like a
Yeah.
He was
like
a punk in
rock kid
Texas.
in Texas
And
in '86.
It was the 80s. It was very popular to be new wave. I wanted to be very new wave.
Yeah.
And
It was not popular in Texas.
well, I don't know. I wanted to be new wave. And so that's how we met.
Do you remember the moment you met?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, a buddy of mine who was this just complete brick shit house kind of bodybuilder, lifeguard at Wet and Wild. In
Water park.
yeah,
Water park.
Water park at Wet
That
and
could be
Wild.
many things.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, this girl's got, this girl's a lot like him. Let me introduce him. So he calls her out of the pool because she was down there, and
I was there on my day off.
Okay.
yeah,
Swimming with my friends, and he calls me to the edge of the pool and wants to introduce me to Scott. And so he introduces us.
Wow.
yeah. So he ended up introducing us, and then that's where it all started. I ended up, again, I was this kind of dirty skateboard punk rocker, and she was like on the other side.
He had a mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Were your parents proud?
Not for a couple of years.
Really?
She was on the other side of the track. She was a rich girl,
Yeah.
and long story short, I got her pregnant. Had to do the man thing and man up, and for the first 10 years, it was rough. It
Yeah.
was really rough, and then something clicked. And
Rough in your relationship because you were
Yes.
kind of like you kind of felt
Well,
like you were
think
forced
about
into it. Yeah.
We're teenagers.
Yeah.
We still had to grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the growing process was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
very much.
But in that time period, we grew together instead of apart.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's so fucking rare.
But see, it kind of feels like, when you look at it, it feels like it's like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's 5 minutes underwater holding your breath
Yeah.
is what it's like.
Right,
actually.
right.
So
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And is it because, is there something about like Texan upbringing that was more of like what you described? Like, I'm going to man up. I'm going to be here. I'm not going anywhere.
Well, he
because
asked
Southern
me-
California life's very different.
No.
We walk away quickly.
He asked me to marry him like 5 times, and I said no 5 times.
Yeah. He still had the mohawk?
And by the way, I was actually a Californian that was transplanted
Really?
in Texas. Yes.
Man, you guys
so
are just,
I
you
was
guys
like
are
a
outliers in every
skater.
way.
I skated semi-pro, and then I was a surfer, and I got transplanted out in Texas.
Right.
So, yes, it is kind of a Texas mentality, but
That's amazing.
But it wasn't until after our daughter was born I realized that he was going to stay an active part of my life and our daughter's life. And I was like, well, he's not leaving. So I asked him to marry me, and he did. He agreed.
And just for a lesson for the young ones out there, always date up. You always want to date up.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yes.
You always you want to be better. Like be with somebody who's leading your pack.
Yes.
And making you better in every possible way.
Exactly.
I don't know if that was a conscious effort of that part,
it was
but
totally. Come on. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
totally
So anyway.
dating-
Scott definitely dated
I was
up.
totally dating out of my sandbox.
Yeah.
but
So,
it does help that we are both very stubborn
that doesn't help anything.
people
That's horrible.
that are not afraid to work hard.
God, your story is like it's totally a movie. The California transplant kid skater with the
Right?
mohawk,
Right?
from the wrong side of the tracks.
Telling you.
And in Texas,
You met at a pool in slow motion.
Yeah, in Texas in 1986, 1985, walking around with a mohawk, you got a beer bottle upside your head every time you walk down the street with your skateboard. Wow. Because you were either like Sammy Hagar fans or some type of country fan, but
Yeah.
punk rock was not one of them.
You may or may not be able to answer this question. When was the first time you got high together?
Oh Lord.
We should go back. We shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah, 86, I think.
We
maybe.
shouldn't talk about that.
I think we were doing all sorts of shit back in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, fun fact. When we were teenagers,
Yeah.
ecstasy was legal.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking.
It
In
was
Texas is
legal.
where it started.
And
Yes, it was.
It
Yeah.
started in Dallas.
Yeah.
And we would go to Dallas nightclubs.
Yeah.
And you pay a $10 admission, and there was a fishbowl with pills, and you took one
Yeah, they were free.
free.
Yeah.
So, but that was back when it was a marital drug.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
They
so-
haven't scheduled it yet. And I know this again, silly question. Like, how did people deal with like come downs when you just had a bowl of it sitting there and you could take it? Was there any?
Yeah, well,
yeah.
you do Coke. Coke was huge back then. And
Well, being depressed was a popular thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And,
Emo.
and we lost friends every year to suicide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every year,
Yeah.
which is a downside and a very
Absolutely.
bummer part.
Absolutely.
Say no to drugs.
Yeah. There's like a speed limit, whether or not we choose to enforce it or law enforcement decides to enforce it. And there's a reason for that.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of what this current generation is going through and what I'm seeing in it is they don't get the fact that, if you do decide to do something like that or mind expanding drugs, there is an off switch. And, you don't have to go full bore all the time. And as long as you understand that it is a marathon and not a sprint, I hate to be cliche,
Absolutely.
but that's what it comes down to. You have these people that just go until it's go no more.
Absolutely.
And so responsibility is key with whatever you decide to do.
And self-regulation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's when people are, anytime you're relying on some sort of an outside condition for your joy and happiness. And that's what I see with like the kids at raves, like the 19-year-olds. They're just like, if I just take more pills, I'll get happy. Like, no, you run out of shit eventually.
And it's not something to rely on.
Yeah.
It's something to amplify, magnify
Absolutely.
your experience.
Absolutely. If you don't already have it in you, like the example I always look at with like the rave kids, right? Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, well, okay, are you into the music that's playing at this stage? No, not really. Okay, well then you're not going to go out of your way to enjoy that music just because you took a pill.
Right.
Now,
It shows that there is, a lot of people find I'm trying to find the best words to put it. There's a hole in all of us, and we find ways to fill it with whatever tries to, makes us feel good, whether it's religion, whether it's politics, whether it's drugs. We have that hole in us, and we try to fill it with, whatever, either makes us go forward or just hides what we currently feel.
Escape or expansion.
Yeah, escape or expansion. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
And so to be able to go out there, you know, everybody has this aspect of Burning Man as being, it's, you know, drugs, sex, and this and that. And they miss the point of it because, and I have to say, to be quite honest with you, our first year out there, we were there for 9 days and we slept 19 hours. And to say we did it without assistance is, you know, obviously naive.
Yeah.
But becoming camp leaders, what we've noticed is
It's quite sobering.
Yeah.
Yes, it is quite sobering.
You also get like such a high from creating this thing and watching like the joy that's bringing people. You know, there's a time that you want to be like when you're younger, you want to be in the middle of the dance floor, and eventually like you want to build the dance floor.
That's a great way to look at it.
And both of us are very much all or nothing individuals.
Yeah.
And so we put it all in, and it worked.
Yeah. I want to know. So you guys were mentioning before we started recording that you were old school ravers in the rave scene. Because just for the listeners who every once in a while you've heard me bitch about how I can never find trance music in burner community. You know, they had like big room music playing when I walked into the house. So that's really exciting. Tell me about the rave scene. Tell me about like when you got into that.
Here you go.
Because that influenced the energy of your camp.
Long story short, our first show was in 1990, I think, was an underground party we went to in LA. And it had like, I mean, we didn't even know who they were at the time.
Did you move to LA or were you visiting?
No, we were just visiting. Okay. I was doing a TV show at that time, and I was
doing
cable.
What?
Yeah, it was a cable show that I was doing. Yeah, back in the day.
What was the show? Or what were you doing?
Well, it was called VCP TV, which was Valley Concert Promotions TV. Sure. And somebody said, "Oh, you need to go to this thing. It's a party, this and that." And I'm like, "Well, we don't do parties. We do concerts." And no, you need to go.
You were producing the show?
Yes.
Okay.
And so went out there, and it was, again, completely underground party, illegal. And it was Carl Cox, Moby. We had DJ Dan, I think, was there. And then it was...
and we only realized this after we looked at a flyer from it years after.
Who's going to be there?
Later. Yeah, but then
when you were there, you had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't remember who they were before they were Lords of Acid.
Yeah.
But there was Lords of Acid. That was, what they were before.
Yeah.
And we went there and we were like, oh my God, this is, because we were like this, new wave punk rock industrial kids, electronic music, even before the Chicago scene. Mm-hmm. So when we saw that, we were like, oh my gosh. And I think it was funny. I think that show was busted at the time because I remember, I think I remember Carl Cox trying to run, sadly, with a crate of vinyl.
Oh my God.
Trying to get away. And again, I don't. It may have been another party. Shit.
That's amazing.
But yeah, that was our first party, and so.
And then we followed the whole EDC scene that started with
early EDC.
Yeah, before Pasquale, which was Magical Mickey's Electric Daisy Carnival.
Wow.
And then Pasquale took it over.
Yeah.
He does everything. But whatever. So.
Yeah.
I have feelings there.
You're welcome to share.
No, I will not, because I still go to EDC, still love it.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be our 16th year.
Yeah.
At EDC. So whatever.
Wow. That's awesome. It's funny because you're describing Carl Cox and I'm like, how fascinating that there's this like timeline that's running alongside each other. Because the year that I was bitching about camping too far on the other end, I was with Playground.
Oh, nice.
So that was like,
awesome.
It was. I mean, we were village with them. I was at Perky Parts, and playground is Carl Cox's camp. So
exactly.
it was pretty fucking awesome experience to be like dancing at sunset, and then like Carl just decides he wants to do sound check on a stage. So there's like 5 of us. And then there's Carl Cox just like pounding the sunset, and like a random guy on a bicycle stops by and goes like, "Is that Carl Cox?" And I'm like, yeah, that's him.
And by the way, for Carl Cox, if you're listening to this, which I hope you are, fucking play Lip Balm after, I don't know, 5 years of begging.
Right?
Shit.
We know mutual people. We'll bug him.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure he never gets that either.
Right.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so LA, do you guys so when do you move from Texas to California?
We moved at the end of 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, you said 90 was when you were there.
Right.
Okay. So where were you in California? In San Diego?
No, actually, I was in a desert community called Ridgecrest, California.
Okay, so we were still teenagers, and our daughter was premature. She had some health issues, and we realized that she was healthier in California than she was in Texas.
Really?
So that was
Dry.
it was dry. Yeah, she had pneumonia 3 times a year
Yeah. Yeah.
for the first 2 years of her life. Mm-hmm. And we visited in California, and she didn't need her breathing machine the whole time. I was like, okay, well,
Wow.
Yeah, exciting
take.
information. There.
right. So that's really the health benefits of our daughter brought us to California.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we moved in with our parents.
In
Wonderful.
your parents in California?
California.
Okay.
Yeah, and the TV show is something that I started pretty close after coming to California.
What was the show about?
It was just all about music.
Okay.
Okay, and I did a lot of bands, a lot of footage of bands and stuff like that, live band stuff, and actually that led me to, I guess I shouldn't say my claim to fame.
You're not famous.
Yeah, I know. I'm always been behind the scenes, but I was one of Blink 182's first managers.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
that was back when they were still out of Ridgecrest, California. Actually, they were known as a band called Of All Things. And then they moved to San Diego, and then they became Blink, and then became Blink 182. So, I was their first manager. And then...
And promoter.
Yeah, and promoter. And so I used to throw a lot of punk shows and things like that. And, that's where we got into the whole music scene and was invited to this party. And so that kind of started started me into creating an artist management company with Mary. And we managed a lot of the trance artists, a lot of the techno artists coming up.
Who are you managing? That?
Oh, I don't want to name. Well, I guess I already named.
I want to know some. No, I want to know names as like a trans geek. I want to know.
Okay, well,
Wah. Okay, that's okay.
I hate name.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, like Victor Denaire. I'll say Victor Denaire because
Okay.
Victor Denaire was the very first trance DJ. Actually, he was the very first electronic music DJ to be on XM and Sirius Radio.
Cool. Yeah.
And he's the one that kind of started the whole electronic music on that particular platform. So I'll use him.
Okay.
But there's a lot of other
Yeah.
a lot of other artists. And
So we'll wait forward. I think you mentioned to me that you're no longer in that industry.
no, I actually retired from that in 2014.
Okay, so that was around the time that you started the camp, right?
Yeah. Well, no. That was our first year was our first year going out there.
Okay. So so you said for a long time people have been bringing up Burning Man. It was like something that was being brought up to you guys.
People in the music scene.
Right. Because a lot of people went.
Well, and a lot of the artists I would represent would go out to Burning Man and play, and I didn't really understand it because as a manager, it was always about making money.
Sure.
And they would come up to, I was invited to go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
okay, well, how much does that pay? Well, it doesn't pay shit, you know? And it was like, oh, then fuck that place.
Yeah.
You know? And so for a lot of years, I didn't really understand it. Yeah. And then it was like, after,
And how do you really understand it until you go?
God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Even though you can try to understand it, you
I still
can't.
don't understand it.
Right.
And I've been doing this show for this show for 93 episodes.
Exactly. Yeah. We still don't understand any grasp of it at this point. So
finally you sucked it up and went. And was there a connection to the fact that was when you were leaving the industry and ended up being your first burn? Or was it just coincidence?
it was completely coincidence at that point. And, you know, and with the way that, you know, and I don't know how this kind of ties into it, but the way that her and I camp is quite different. Give me a rock and a twig and I will build a cabin. Versus
I was a city girl,
Yeah.
and our first camping experience was hiking it in and hiking it out.
Yeah.
yes,
I slept on the ground
no trace.
Yeah.
for the first time in my life, and I woke up with bruises everywhere.
For you.
And so I wasn't a big fan of it, but I kind of grew into it. And now we have a camper.
Yeah. I would imagine
so-
you kind of grew into it after all.
No,
that.
so when we were going to our Burning Man for our first year, I was ready to show up with gallons of water in a sleeping bag, which is now foolhardy, looking back on it. So she was the one that says, oh, we need to get an RV. And so we bought like a shitty RV on was it eBay?
eBay, yeah.
Turned out to be a fucking badass RV. We still use to this day.
Nice.
Only because he's completely remodeled it.
So, so we went out there the first year. And funny story too, because anybody that knows me, I tend to be a little bit on the conservative side of things. And so the very first year we went out there, as we were driving up through the, you know, and it was a Sunday. That was the year that it rained on a Monday. Was it Sunday or Monday that it rained? I don't remember.
What year?
Monday morning.
Monday morning it rained and they just shut down the line for like, I don't know, 12 hours.
Yeah.
But we showed up on Sunday, and driving through the city, I was so freaking excited, you know, and oh my God, where do we park? We didn't even know that there was roped off areas or anything. We just parked, you know, 9:30 in C. And there was supposed to be somebody there, but there wasn't apparently. But we parked, we got out, and I was looking around, and I turn around, this guy is right there behind me, and kind of bearded, overweight guy. And he hugs me and he's like, oh, welcome home. And, you know, and turns out the guy was a shirt cocker, which is completely so nerve wracking to me. But yeah, I was like, oh my God, we need to turn around and get out of here.
Because he had a dick on you?
Oh yeah. I was just, this is not happening. We need to go now. So
I kind of feel like you're in like the wrong event.
oh, totally. So, but Mary, you know,
Has that evolved at all?
Oh my God.
Of course. Yeah.
Mary's the free spirit of us. She's the velvet. I'm the hammer.
I can find beauty in everything,
Yes.
Yeah.
and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even in a beautiful cock hanging under a shirt.
Oh my God.
That's one of the best things about Burning Man is the freedom to be whatever you want to be.
Absolutely.
And what I think is the most amazing thing is how comfortable everyone can be their true selves or not their true selves. But then there's no judgment
Yeah.
typically, which is amazing to me. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's the primary thing that brings most people back is like when they have that first experience.
Yes.
Indeed.
So back to the first year that you're doing the camp. You come up with the idea of lip balm. You're like, this is what we're going to do. What's the next step? Like, do you create a online group? Like, how did you start collecting this group of misfits, the 25 people that you took with you?
didn't live anywhere near you?
Facebook.
Just like tell me, like, how did you meet like these random people from France?
Well, when you applied to have a camp, you then set up.
We didn't really apply. Well, we did, and we didn't.
But we made a Facebook account for Lip Balm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that was just our first step, was just creating the Facebook.
Yeah.
And then we started posting on the different Burning Man websites, and man, we were not ready for the snark. Holy shit. I mean, we wanted to give up before we even got out of the gate, because these people, I swear to God, they are it's like being, a piece of bologna thrown to a pack of Rottweilers.
Oh, it is a hazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was a trial by fire.
Yeah.
So, and again, people warned us, oh, don't start a camp. Don't start. And in hindsight, we wished we would have listened.
In hindsight, they were right.
Yeah. So listen, kids, when they say don't start a camp, don't start a fucking camp.
Listen, just don't go to Burning Man.
Yeah,
Just
don't
whatever
go
you
to,
do.
oh my God, it's going to be flooded. I guarantee you.
Do not do it. It'll fuck
Bugs,
your entire life up.
flood.
Breaks up relationships.
Oh my God. Before you know it, you're buying a house out in the middle of nowhere just so you can keep all your shit all year for this one thing you can go to once.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Consuming.
It's just horrible. So it's okay. So then you're posting on random groups, and then people from France and Canada are messaging
Germany,
you and saying, yeah, Germany.
Australia.
Yeah. How come nobody around California that you guys were people you knew?
No.
Come on.
Well,
Oh,
because
the
there
people
were-
knew you. They're like, fuck that. We're
there
not
were
camping with
already
you.
established LA camps.
Yeah,
Already established San Diego counts.
Francisco.
San Francisco is where it started.
Interesting.
I'm guessing that's why.
Yeah, nobody is in wine country Temecula.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah.
us.
So yeah, exactly.
So, and then were you vetting these people at all, or you're just like, nah, cool, you're in?
Fuck it. Let's bring them. They sound cool.
Okay.
Well, they had to have our mindset that we wanted. It's strictly party.
Yeah. We're
We don't
about
want
the
religion
party.
in it.
Yeah.
We don't want politicalism in it. We want to have fun.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and that's our thing too. You don't bring any of the religion, the politics, the new age, bullshit. It's just all about having a great time and celebrating life and
Yeah.
that kind of thing with a post-apocalyptic thing.
Nice.
And that first year, our Texas members, one of our members, Scott Malik, was the one that has been able to bring the vape shot.
Oh yeah, that's
The vape shot? What's that?
The vape shot. It is I guess we're the only camp with it.
Isn't that crazy?
But
Yeah.
it is vaporized alcohol that you breathe in, kind of like a whippet.
Oh, that
Get you
sounds
like fucked up for
dangerous.
like 15 minutes, and then you're sober as can be.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It goes away after 15 minutes?
It does, because it bypasses digestion.
Liver.
Because you're breathing it, goes straight to the brain.
Uh-huh.
So it gives you a more like a euphoric type feeling, but then it dissipates completely in 10 minutes.
That is so interesting. I want to, okay. See,
And you can do it all day long without a hangover because it bypasses the liver. And the liver is what gives you the hangover.
what the fuck? No, hold on a second. I remember, God, I remember a few years ago when how the news every once in a while finds kids these days are doing this and you should be terrified.
Tide Pods.
Right. So
Tide Pods.
am I correct in remembering that it was legal in Europe and not legal here, and they were making a big thing about eventually it's going to make its way here, and oh my God, all the kids are just going to overdose on alcohol and die horribly.
No?
The vape shots?
Yeah, vape shots. Yeah, and last year was the first year, 2018. So yeah, last year was the first year we introduced a combination of CBD and alcohol to it as well. So CBD being
Hold on.
cannabidiol.
Was this something? Hold on a second. So is this something that you purchased somewhere online, or did you make it? Did you invent it? I'm trying to understand.
no,
it.
and actually the creator of the vape shot machine was generous, if I can get it out, generous enough to donate the machine, which is a very expensive machine.
Right.
It's probably it's like a $10,000 machine.
Where can someone do vape shots outside of Lip Balm at Burning Man?
In Texas?
Yeah, no, all over. But no, yeah, it's they do it in, it's a machine that's sold to bars and things like that.
I've never seen one before.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, the fact that you guys are the only
you need to do it.
Yeah, you're the only camp that brings it. Obviously,
Yes.
it's super rare.
Yeah,
For some reason.
and then we also have 6 beers on tap at all times, and then we have 4 commercial margarita machines that are running all the time.
New to the 2018.
Yes, so.
So tell me, okay, so in your first year, what went exactly according to plan, and then what absolutely went completely the opposite?
Nothing on the first, everything on the last.
Okay,
So
nothing went
again,
according to plan.
No.
So tell me about like the camp members. So you meet all these people for the first time on Playa as they arrive. You're setting up the camp.
We showed up and we were the only 2 people there for how long?
Yeah, well, we actually set up the first year. It was Mary and I that set up the camp,
Right.
and then everybody else kind of milled in late, and it was
Joe did a great job with the lights, though,
yeah,
and sound.
yeah. So yeah, our first year was really kind of a mess, and then our second year, because we went from 25 members our first year to 75 the second year. Now, by the way, we did christen our first year with a first lip balm. We won't say who it was and who received it, but there was a
Somebody
christening.
had.
They
okay.
did get a Polaroid camera shot of it, and
Nobody
we did
uses
cover
Polaroid
him.
anymore.
We
It's
had
a
a
digital.
Well, whatever. It printed out.
Polaroid.
It was a printed out picture of the event,
Yeah.
and he was covered and comfortable for the rest of the night.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, we
In
thought
vagina.
he was dead for a while, but whatever. He passed out. He got lip balmed. And by the way, don't come to our camp and pass out just so you can get lip balmed. That's not the point. It's if
I'm
you
happy to do it fully awake.
Yes, exactly.
It's just the consequence.
Yeah.
So
It's inevitability.
yeah.
So what was the biggest lesson you learned from your first year?
first year, wow.
What was the big thing you came out of? You're like, all right, this is what we're going to do different next year.
We need more help.
Okay.
That's what she came across. Mine was we shouldn't have done this.
Shouldn't have done this, man.
because that's why we did it so much bigger the next year.
Yeah, I know. So
That's not the lesson.
No, but every year we left, I was like, okay, I'm done. We did it. I'm done. And every year, every January, she convinces me to do it over again.
Yeah.
Except as of last year, 2018 was a stellar year, but our second year as a camp was the absolute worst. We went from 25 to 75, completely inorganic. And it was,
With that said, our Monday night party was phenomenal.
whatever. So stay on point.
I don't know. That's a good point. She's being positive.
Yes. So yeah, but the second
So
year
you
was
grew too
horrible.
fast.
Yes, too fast. We had so much drama from actually one particular person who split off and started their own camp, which we will not mention.
Was it Pascal?
But thank God you're not in our camp anymore. So our second year was just a real shit show.
We just weren't ready for all the crap that humans do.
Yeah, I mean, you tripled in size in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how that could possibly go smoothly.
Well, in tripling or expanding inorganically is the worst thing you can do.
What made it inorganic?
Because we went for the numbers, to be quite honest with you, and we thought we could handle it, and we had the footprint. We had the land given to us by the organization, which we were very grateful for, and we utilized quite well. However, the memberships that we had. And one of the things that we're currently learning now is not having a centrally located, camper base you know, because most of these camps have a centralized camper base, whether it be, you know, a particular city or a state. We don't have that really.
Right.
And yes, we have people in Southern California. Yes, we have them in Northern California, but we have people from New Zealand, Texas, New York, huge New York contingency.
Canadians, Europe.
Yeah.
So it is a very universal base, which is great and makes for an amazing experience, but it loads Mary and I up with the bulk of the manual labor, to you know, not only clean and pack everything, to build everything,
Transport.
everything is done through our Southern California location.
Right. Would you attribute your super fast growth like to kind of like the entrepreneurial ambition that you normally carry with you in the default world?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I never even thought about that. I bet you that's it. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I've never even thought about that,
Yeah.
and that's a great point.
Because I'm curious what lesson came out of that, because I imagine the following year you swung further, like maybe back into burner world, and then took that lesson back into default with you. I'm just kind of pulling this out of my ass, but I'm wondering.
Our first year, we just took campers that wanted to camp with us.
Right.
The second year, we did the same thing. What we learned from our second year is that we needed to be more discriminatory towards who we invite in our camp.
Right.
And so for the third year, we went for quality of people instead of quantity.
Well, it's a lot like gold panning, and if you've ever gold panned, you just scoop up a lot of sand, and then you kind of filter out these gold nuggets.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened, and that's what we're doing. Is every year we find these gold nuggets, and I have
amazing people
yeah.
that have made that camp amazing, and we just want to keep them.
Right.
And so 2018, which again was last year, obviously, we ended up, for the most part, hitting it out of the park. I mean, it was probably our best year to date, which was our fifth. Was that our fifth year or fourth year? 2015 was our first, so that was our fourth year. So fourth year as a camp. So yeah, our fourth year as a camp was fantastic, and now basically when it comes to the application drive, which is we open up the application drive this year. It'll be on
the 14th.
January 14th. This is the first year we've ever had where people are asking us when that application drop is going to happen. And but every year we have, I don't know, probably 200 plus applications come in each year to join the camp, and we go through an interview process where we get on the phone with them.
With all 200 people?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
which is just. But now again, that's not
Over the
just
course of the year.
that's not just us though.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Mary, it's myself, it's Maria, who Slay Bunny as her play name is, who does a lot of it. This year we're expanding into more of the officers giving interviews, and
We started
So-
the officers the third year.
yeah,
That's an excellent segue, actually. Third year, how many people did you have?
third year was 50.
50. So you
dropped
drop.
down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. And you also started a board system. So you have officers.
Yes.
How many?
Well, our first year we had, our first year we did officers, we had 12. The second year we had officers, we had 17. This is our third year as officers. And we actually have implemented assistant officers now. Now we're up to 24 officers and assistant officers.
Right. So the question that I was asking earlier about what lesson you learned from your ass kicking year, I think the answer is more delegation.
Yes.
Was what you got. So, you know, at first you kind of, again, correct me if I'm pulling this out of my ass. I wish I am. It feels like the energy was that in the beginning you had sort of that entrepreneurial, like, I'm going to fucking make shit happen, you know, like, and then you learned as you built this thing, like, oh, wait, we're building community. We got to delegate this shit out more because it's not just mine. It's this whole group.
Man, this guy's on point.
Yeah.
So
You ain't my first rodeo.
completely. No. Yeah, exactly. And the thing that it's funny because again, I said this earlier. Mary's the velvet. I'm the hammer. Everybody loves her. Okay, and you know,
Not everybody.
well, who doesn't love you? Shut the fuck
For the
up.
most part.
So, but I'm the guy that everybody kind of cringes and you know they run from when they see. But over the years, by allowing other people to do their job and getting the fuck out of the way, is what really has changed the dynamics of the camp.
Right.
And is why it really worked last year.
Yes. It really just let people do what they do and what they're passionate about and get out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, yes, I have the big picture. Yes, Mary has the big picture. And by the way, somebody took my job this year, by the way.
Were you aware of that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, well, we put it out there.
Yeah, we and every year, whenever we open up applications, we put our particular posts, you know, up as far as camp command and vice command. Mary or Sunshine is vice. She is command. I am vice command. Yeah, I was vice command. Somebody actually
Been relieved of your duty.
Yes. So somebody actually took my post, which is Jessica. She is known by the name Cotton Candy, which we love you. She stepped up, which she doesn't even know the bullshit she's in for.
She has no idea.
No. So we're training her up to take my position. I will be relegated to strike foreman going forward. So
Tell me about, because part of your description, you guys have mentioned this during the interview, and it says it on your website and everything too, that it is a female-led camp.
Yes.
So tell me about that. Was this was a conscious decision or did it happen organically?
It was a conscious decision when we first had the idea of a Tank Girl theme, with Tank Girl being female dominated,
Right.
female driven, and that's where it's originating from and coming from.
So is the thought, but I'm wondering though, so like if that's the question about like whether it happened organically. Like if somebody applies for a position and they happen to not be female, are they not able to obtain that position because it's supposed to be a female-led camp?
No. We have a lot of men in our camp, but they all have to understand that the women rule.
Okay.
yeah, and our, like for instance, our build foreman is a man.
Understand and agree.
Gotcha.
Our strike foreman, i.e. me, is obviously a man. Our bar manager is also male. And then pretty much everything else is we have women in all aspects, whether it be assistant or manager. They're in every aspect of the camp. So, and that was why this year when we did open up our post, our vice command and command post, that those would be filled with women. There
was an active desire to replace you.
And it's because we want to kindle that whole Tank Girl mentality. Again, Tank Girl is, I guess the basic breakdown of who she is mentally. She is seriously a frat boy in a male body. I mean, everything about her. Yeah, I mean, in a female body, sorry. But she is just completely empowered and rude and obnoxious and, you know, sexual and deviant as, you know, anybody else there is, you know. So it's just that aspect of it.
How much have the Tank Girl theme of the camp, has that evolved at all, or is it gotten closer and closer to like the original core of the theme? Does that question make sense?
Well, it's always been Tank Girl theme.
It's always been Tank Girl theme, but as far as the mascot, we did have Tank Girl on the first sign.
Yeah.
But then after that, I became the mascot. Well, my image became my
Yeah, Sunshine the Super Tramp.
Sunshine, the Super Tramp.
Do you want to drink my water?
No.
Yeah.
Cartoon character became more of the theme.
Right. Right.
Who did that graphic?
Yeah. We
okay,
were mentioning
well-
that earlier.
Well, the first graphic was done by the Tank Girl artist.
No, it was I
Oh.
did the first one.
Scott did the first one.
Scott
And the
drew the
second
first one personally?
Drew the first one.
Oh, okay. Cool. Continue.
And then, are you getting it? Oh, no.
Then Brett
He's just getting
Brett
water.
Adams, which is the original is the current Tank Girl comic book artist, did our second one.
Wow.
So he made the second image.
Tell me, how did you guys connect with him?
DeviantArt.com.
Yeah. You just kind of reached out to him and said, hey, we're a Burning Man camp.
Yeah, it's a Tank Girl themed camp. Would you be interested? And he was just blown away. He was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" And he actually did this drawing for us, the one that's on our logo. And then he also did some other work for us, and then signed a bunch of Tank Girl comic books that we give away every year in our award ceremony
Has
that we
he-
do in our camp.
Has he burned?
No, never. We've invited him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been really good about giving us amazing stuff to give away, you know, during our award ceremony.
Is the creator of Tank Girl aware of you?
Yeah.
I'm
Well, he's the
assuming-
one he's one of the current artists of the Tank Girl comic book.
Okay.
So,
But I mean, I don't know who the original creator is. That's probably something I should have looked
yeah,
up
it's
before
like,
this.
it's like way back, but
Yeah.
Brett, and I can't remember the other artist names, but Brett's the current one.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Is it, is the camp what you imagined it would be when you started it?
It is way more than I imagined it would be.
What did you think it would be, and how is it different?
I didn't think.
Yeah, we didn't. Have
We didn't think.
expectations.
We didn't have expectations.
Yeah. If you thought, you wouldn't have started a camp.
Yes.
Right. Another motto that has worked for us in the past is prepare for everything and anticipate nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. That's our couple motto.
Well, that's our couple model, but of course that has gone in.
Prepare for everything, plan nothing.
Yeah. Plan nothing or anticipate nothing.
Or no, it's plan
Expect
nothing.
expect nothing. Yeah,
Oh my God, it became a third word. Okay. I
Yeah,
can say that.
whatever.
one of those.
Look,
One of
we're
those things.
already,
Plan is just the beginning, and then what happens happens.
Right.
we're already
right.
2 Bloody Marys down. So,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah. No, well, I mean, because again, what you're describing, just even that description, it's a very entrepreneurial spirit. Like that sense of, there's a direction I'm heading in. I'm just going to take my first steps and figure out from there. And that's not something that the majority of people on the planet think in terms of. Most people think in terms of, I need to know where I'm going or I'm not even going to start walking. Which is why, like, not everybody starts a business. Not
Okay,
everybody starts
right.
a nonprofit. Not everybody starts
Right.
a camp. But I think that's really interesting that that's like something that the two of you are so like in tune on. And it definitely resonates with like with the energy that you've created around this community that you've built over the past 4 or 5 years.
yeah, agreed.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like it.
What's tell me more about so okay, the international part of your membership base, that was interesting to me.
Do you guys have pre-burn camp meetings? Do you like do it on Skype?
We started on Skype, but Skype only accommodates a smaller amount of people. So we just do voice conferences.
Yeah,
Phone
conference call.
Conference calls.
Conference call? How many people call into this?
Freeconferencecall.com.
Freeconferencecall.com.
Yes.
Wow, I got to make a note of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, and Skype, we
How many
would always
people can
spend like
call into that?
45 minutes trying to get everybody's, connection figured out. So we were like, fuck that. Let's do conferencecall.com.
Part of it is we are in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. No, how many people can call in on the free conference call?
Well, we had 25, which last week, or when did we have that last meeting?
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
25. And
Yeah,
I
we had
think got
25
like
people.
10 or 15.
Yeah. 25 people from all over the world.
Yeah. We had people from New Zealand on there, and New York, and Texas, and California, all over the place. Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Europeans this year.
No Europeans this year.
In our leaders.
Okay.
Yeah. Not that we're against it,
Right.
obviously. But we have a meeting. We try to have our first camp meeting of officers. This was the first year we did. We included the junior officers in the first call of the year in January. That is what we do for the first meeting is we go over what worked and what didn't work the previous year. As far as solutions are concerned.
Oh, go ahead.
And then from there, we set direction for each of the officers and each of the parts of the camp. So the bar, the kitchen, the leave no trace, the media, the social media aspect, and
The
entertainment aspect, lights, music. We get everybody on track. And then our second meeting is in the middle between January and the burn. That is a follow-up meeting where we make sure everybody's on track.
About spring.
Yeah, it's April, May, somewhere. Actually, it was June.
Really?
Yeah, it was June last year.
It was a little late.
Yeah.
We have another one right
Oh, wait, no. It was May. Sorry.
Yeah.
Everybody, May. So we had our middle meeting in May. And then we have our last meeting 1 month before the burn because it is very important that Mary and I decompress from all the planning.
Yeah.
And then we do nothing. We try to do nothing for 1 month that has anything to do with the burn.
Oh my God. Before the burn?
Yeah, before the burn.
I've tried to do that every year.
Right?
And
It's
failed
just-
miserably.
Yeah.
Have you started in January?
Really need
So, no, we do the same thing. We plan on nothing, but there's always something
That's really smart.
here and there because we learned that the first 2 years, if we don't have that break, we literally sleep through our burn.
Yeah.
We're so tired by the time we get there.
Yeah.
And we didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just brain exhaustion.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. That's brilliant.
So,
That's super brilliant.
yeah.
Let me ask you this: how has burning affected your personal relationship? Parentheses S.
Yeah, I don't even know if it has. I mean, I'd love to say it did this or that, but
Well, we've always worked well together. And it definitely has put us in a position to work together more often. What it brought to me was that I always considered myself a good person. But after my first burn, I realized how much more of a good person I could be. And the wanting to just share my experience with everyone I come in contact with.
yeah. But how does that relate to us as a couple? And I think the answer to that is we have literally grown up with each other,
Yeah.
so that we're kind of we're already one person as it is. I mean, for the
We're
most
more
part.
of a one person.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
You're even more in tune.
yeah.
Yes.
Is what's happened.
So exactly.
Interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? About the being a good person? Like how was it that you considered yourself a good person prior to the burn, and how did that change or evolve?
Well, okay. With the definition of good, it's subjective.
Yeah.
I am honest. I'm friendly, outgoing, a hard worker,
Yeah.
a family woman, a businesswoman. I pay taxes.
Yeah, that makes you good.
Pay taxes out the ass. But, well, honest. That goes back to honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, yeah, but that's where I thought the limit was,
Yeah.
and it's not.
Well, it just opened us. It opened us up to people that we don't normally come in contact with. I mean, because we live in a pretty sheltered life in that, we live out in the sticks now. We have a very close knit group of friends, and we're kind of set in our ways. And then you go out there and you meet people that are so off the reservation, of what our norm is.
People you'd never meet before, ever, under any circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's, it's great because Burning Man is kind of like everybody's ability to just be kids again. And was it last year that they did that one art project, the wire frame with the two adults back to back and the two
right.
kids? I swear to God,
Years ago.
that was like one of my
incredible.
favorite art projects out there, was because, man, that thing hit it on the head of the nail. So, and that's what it comes down to is you can be, oh Lord. Thank you. Sorry for that. That, by the way, is the symposium, sign up alarm.
Symposium sign up alarm?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got this symposium sign up. The theme camp symposium sign up.
Right. For the listeners, can you tell listeners a little bit about it who might not be aware of it?
So basically, this year is the first year that they are doing a 2-day symposium, theme camp symposium, where all the theme camps come together.
Invited.
And up in San Francisco, this is the first year Mary and I are going, but we've always had someone there with us.
For the last 3 years.
Representing us there.
And it's a place for theme camps to communicate with each other and learn lessons from each other.
Network and
And ask questions to the organization. And
Right.
So
Yeah, Lee and I are considering on going up there and just camping out at the hotels and like getting some interviews while we're there.
that's a great idea.
Not actually attending the thing, but there's going to be so many awesome theme camps out there.
Just attend it. You might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd get a lot of information out of it. And they also do a live stream, just so you know. They do a live stream online that anyone can watch themselves, and it gives you a great insight of what the organization does and how they operate, and then also gives theme camps a platform to ask questions, and whether it's online or in person.
Okay, I'm really glad that alarm went off because that was awesome information.
Yes.
So, okay, aside from don't, what is the best advice you would give to somebody who is considering starting a theme camp?
don't.
Yes. Oh, let's go back to the
Don't go to Burning
don'ts. Don't build a dome. Oh my God.
Unless you've built a dome in the default world.
Yeah.
No, and even then, domes are a nightmare. They take forever to build.
Don't do it.
Dome, do it.
Just don't do it.
Okay, t-shirt idea. So advice. And again, it seems like every year we give advice to offshoots of Lip Balm. because every year, a person or a group of people split off from Lip Balm and create their own camps. And so they always come back to us and ask for us advice. It is, I guess the key to it is making sure that you have incredible interactivity, okay? Because whenever you sign up for the application to become a theme camp, and by the way, each year it is becoming more and more difficult to create a theme camp.
Because more bureaucracy?
No. More so than like everybody and their brother wants to start a theme camp.
Right. Not me.
Yeah, exactly. Wise man.
Yeah. I'm fine contributing with this podcast.
Yes. And so don't have a camp for anal bleaching, because there's a lot of them, I'm sure, or yoga, because you'll get looked over for there.
For getting placement?
Yeah, for placement. So you want to make sure that,
because there's so much yoga camps already.
oh my God, everywhere.
That's really interesting. Not something I would have considered.
Come up with something unique and crazy, and some form of interactivity that isn't out there. And that's why Lip Balm this year is actually,
because what people
evolving.
do, other than being excited about the thing they're doing, it also does seem like a lot of times people want to bring the thing to the burn that they think people want to see at the burn, and that's one of those things. It's like yoga and this and that, right? So really, what they want to see is something they've never seen before.
Okay, so a good example of that is our first burn on the Saturday night party. I was over at one of the big sound camps, and I have to pee.
Yeah.
So I'm dreading it because the porta potties are horrible.
They are horrible at the end of the city.
And then it's Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I had to. So I did. And I opened the porta potty door, and it was so pleasant. There was like a glow stick and an anti-shea basket, and it was clean.
Yeah.
And there was paper.
Wow.
And I was so thankful and excited that I had that experience. Our first year camp had that type of latrine. We dedicated our camp, adopted 3 latrines that we maintained daily.
Wow.
And that didn't extend past the first year because it's so much work.
Yeah. I was just going to say, like, maybe that's a theme camp idea, is all you do is provide people a really good toilet experience.
I know of one.
Really?
That's all they do.
It's just a bunch of toilets?
They do 2 or 3.
I can dig it.
Can we take a break for just a second? I'm sorry.
All right. Oh, there we go. We had to take a quick 2-second break for phone calls and bathrooms that happen to be lined up right now. No worries at all. It's pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to partying with you guys this year, because you definitely get that experience. I think sometimes when you're out there, it all just feels very heavy. It feels to me like sometimes we have these. Sometimes the burn can be a really heavy experience. Like sometimes you're just like you're in your head. You're having just like powerful emotional experiences. You're exploring yourself and consciousness, and who knows? There's all kinds of stuff happening. And a lot of, like, as you guys are describing the camp, and I'm just thinking, like, man, it sounds like exactly the kind of place that you want to stumble into when you're starting to take all of your shit way too seriously, and you need to just like chug a drink with some good friends and have a goofy time. And I've absolutely been in moments where I'm like, man, I really need to get out of whatever this headspace in that I'm right now.
We are hoping that people view our camp that way.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Yeah. It's an escape from the escape.
It's just it's a fun place to be.
Yeah. I can dig it. What are you most excited about this coming year?
Well, this is a year now. We're actually expanding our crew base, and we used to call everybody campers. Now we're crew members. Everybody's crew members. So we're expanding.
Listen, I just want to camp with you. No, you're a crew member.
You're a fucking crew member. You are gifting your talents and your labor to everybody that comes to Lip Balm.
Yeah.
Before, what we would do is after everyone signed up, we would have them volunteer for certain jobs.
Yeah.
We'd post a list of jobs, and then people could volunteer for 2 or 3 posts.
Yeah.
Well, that hasn't worked as great as we would hoped it did. So this year what we're doing is the crew members are going to be assigned to that task for the whole week.
Ah.
So if
ownership.
If you're passionate about a particular position, you're going to have it the whole week. And again, we only have we only have people work a couple of like 2 or 3. Well, actually, no. 3
30-minute things.
Yeah.
No, what are you talking about? It's 3 2-hour shifts, babe. So
L&T doesn't always take an hour.
the leave no trace. So this year we are upping our crew member base to 90
Wow.
from 50.
Jeez. Okay.
So we are raising, but a lot of those are going to be entertainers because we are changing the dynamics of the camp because there's a ton of DJ camps out there. There's a ton of bars out there. And so we're trying to find our niche. And so this year we are going to be combining all of that into an experience, whether, it's going to be DJs at the same time as a bar, as the same time as, fire spinners and blowers and bikini grinders and crazy psycho circus shit all week long. So that's what it's coming down to.
You want to increase the insanity and the production
Yes,
value.
it's an insane post-apocalyptic psycho circus.
I love it. I'm super excited. I'm really excited about checking you guys out this year. Listen, thank you so much for all of the work. As always, I tell people, thank you for all the work you're doing for the community. Thank you for building community. Thank you for sacrificing so much of your time to make this happen for all of us to come enjoy it. It's super awesome. It's super rad. I love. There's so many. This is one of those episodes. I'm probably going to say this in the intro that I wish there was a camera because watching you two's body language and interactions is really amusing. And there's
a shit show.
Yes, there's just there's a lot that I'm God, I really wish I could how do I translate this to audio? Because there's a lot of your gestures and stuff at each other.
Because we're on a comfy couch.
Yeah. This is that's my favorite interview is to record them on a comfy couch. No, it's super rad. I'm really excited. I'm excited about seeing where you guys going. Do you see an end to this anytime soon, or is it go
We don't want
till you
there
have
to
500
be
members?
an end to Lip Balm.
Yeah.
We would like to see an end to Scott and I doing it all.
Yeah.
Well, we're not doing it all right now, but
We're there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah.
But for us to do much less and then just be that participant.
And that is the final step in community building, right?
Right.
Let it go. Once you've loved something and you've created something, let it go.
Yes.
Yeah.
and if it doesn't come back, you hunt it down and kill it.
Yeah. God, what if you let go of the camp and it becomes a whole different comic book? What if it becomes
okay
Green
with that.
Lantern?
That big. Oh no.
Actually, Green Lantern was my favorite comic book hero, but then
And then,
that went to shit.
yeah.
Well, it just went a completely different way.
What if it becomes Deadpool?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
I could do
All
that.
right.
Yeah.
You know what? I can see that.
Yeah.
I can
do
see that.
Deadpool's okay.
Deadpool's okay.
We're the Deadpool of Burning Man.
Yeah. I can dig it. All right. Thank you guys so much. This has been so much fun.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I will see you in the dust. You are now listening to the sounds of Belfast-born and London-based Sturge. This set was recorded on a frozen margarita-filled Tuesday night of Burning Man 2018 at Camp Lip Balm. I believe this is during the Lost in Sound takeover at Camp Lip Balm. So the Camp Lip Balm. You can hear more from Sturge at soundcloud.com/SturgeDJ. That's spelled STURGE DJ.
DJ like DJ. Also, you can find him on Facebook. Follow him there. That's at facebook.com/SurgeDJ as well. Lots of dope music. We've really been enjoying listening to it here at the Burner Podcast office. We didn't get a chance to chat about this during the interview, but Camp Lip Balm has been working the numbers and donating to Love 146. Love 146 is a nonprofit focused on battling child trafficking. So they're doing that. They're supporting Love 46, and at the same time, Scott's working it so that they can become a non-dues camp entirely. So how fucking rad is that? They're definitely, there's always like a multi-year plan with these guys. Listeners, please give us a like on Facebook and join the Facebook group. And please leave us a review on iTunes. The reviews really help the show get more noticed and grow and get more support. So maybe we can finally raise some funds so I can do some travel and bring you more of our community. That's like the long-term goal that I'm hoping for on the show. All these links are over at burnerpodcast.com. You can find me on all of these social medias at Mr. Arash. That's MRARASH. You can also email me, by the way, arash@burnerpodcast.com. If you have guest suggestions, you could totally email Lee at burnerpodcast.com. Lee is Lee at burnerpodcast.com. Please send me a message to let me know, by the way, that you're a listener and not a spam bot if you're adding me on social media, because there's like 300 friend requests on there, and I don't know who a lot of these people are. But I hope to know you. I hope to know you if you're a listener. So shoot me a message. Let me know. And do let me know if you have any interesting interview subjects in your neck of the woods. Maybe I'll come by your town and I'll pass out in your RV and eat all of your leftover pizza. Today's episode was produced by Lee Hemingway along with associate producer Louis Galibeau. Our production team also includes Tori Massey and Navjeet Sarna. New shows are up on the first and third Wednesdays of the month. It goes up on Wednesday, but it might not show up in your inbox till Thursday. But we're back to like being hardcore about that about that deadline. The show is available on all the podcast platforms. Our opening theme music, America's Horse with No Name remix, is produced by Joman. Find him at soundcloud.com/DJ Joman. We love you, dear listeners. Until next time, love and light and all the other crap. Take us out, Sturge.
our story unfolds. We're miles apart, but never before this close.
burnerpodcast.com.